Alright, so I'm just going to say this first and foremost. I apologize that it has taken me so long to do some sort of tutorial for Dismount Glitch. The problem is, I feel like it has to be perfect. I feel like any tutorial for Dismount Glitch has to be perfect, and maybe it's a good thing that it's taken this long because we have found a new technique that is, I would argue, easier than the old method. And I'm going to hopefully show that off. Hopefully I cover all of the relevant frames and all of the intricacies of Dismount Glitch. This is hard. This is really hard. This is maybe the third hardest glitch in the game. Next to shield hover and stale reference manipulation. And it might end up being the fourth hardest next to Ace. Also, if we find Ace. But anyway, enough about that. So, one of the difficulties I was having with a tutorial is describing the initial angle for the clip. And I still have not figured out a good way to describe it, so hopefully just looking at it will be enough. One thing I want to note is that there's two ways to do the clip. You can either hold a very precise angle the entire time, or you can turn far enough to turn the camera and then just hold forward, which is what I do. I find it to be much easier. So once I get to this point, this is the first interesting thing that happens here, is I will alternate up left and up right. It's weird, it happens kind of fast, but basically if you do it, you will never clip in bounds at that corner, ever. So here, my goal mainly is to keep the camera at about this angle. I'm going to turn a little bit farther at the joint between these two wall textures. Just because the camera will turn kind of wildly if you don't. So I will look further up as I'm here, and then I'll let the camera come back to that angle that I had before that I was trying to hold. And then once we get to the X and the strike through the wall, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the strike on the wall as straight as I can. And then I'm going to hold up left and then quickly turn to up right. If you don't stop moving, it's much easier. See, that's another thing about Dismount Glitch, is that it's a glitch that is difficult to explain while doing it. So I stay on the left side of the tunnel, and that prevents me from having to spam the target button, and also I think you have a slightly shorter path to walk, so maybe it's even faster to stay on the left side. Not too sure about that one though. Once I get here, what I want to do is I want to keep my looking direction about as straight as possible, hold forward, and as soon as I see the left tusk go through this wooden fence, I'm going to switch to directly left. Once I see the climbing animation, I'm going to switch back to up. That is the easiest way to do that little corner. If you walk too far, you won't catch the vertical part of the seam, and you'll just walk out of bounds and fall. And it's terrible. It's a sad way to lose the trick. And you can do the same thing on the other side. On your way back, it is also possible to just walk off into the void. To prevent that, I'm going to try to get my camera like this. It's hard to see exactly, but I am just off alignment for the door. but I'm still relatively straight. Now I am going to hold forward until the mammoth goes up and down. Once the mammoth goes back down, I'm going to switch to up left, and I'm going to spam analog L. Once you're past the door, you can stay on the right side. If the camera's not interrupted by the post, you don't have to spam analog L to keep the camera straight. Until you get to this spot. Once you get to this spot, the camera will always turn. But that's just because the camera's going from out of bounds to inbounds. So here, the Tricky's in a decent spot. I could spam the Y button and get him close, and I could feed him here. Alternatively, if you do walk too far the first time, there is a backup spot over by this rock. If you look at the rock about like this, you can go a little more or less or whatever. But Tricky is eventually going to come over here, and you'll be able to feed him. And now we are dismounted from the mammoth. Now we're going to get on the bike. And as always, I apologize in advance to your eyes if you are sensitive to rocking and or flashing of the camera. This might not be the glitch for you. If you wish to proceed, I am going to tell you real quick that part of this sequence hinges on the fact that I'm going to hold my controller slightly funky. Whereas I would normally hold my controller like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I am firmly pressing my right thumb against the bottom of the controller. It's like my life depends on it. The literal last thing I want to do is release the A button once I dismount from the bike. And the reason why that's important is I'm going to do this entire sequence without shielding. Shielding is very slow, and if you can move both Fox and the bike at the actual same time, it is about 40 to 50 seconds faster than using the shield. And I think this is actually easier. As long as you don't release the A button, there is a 0% chance that you warp to the bike, early at least. You will release the A button once you're past the cutscene trigger at the end of dismount. But you won't release A until then. So, to do this trick, I'm going to control the bike's speed by tapping the B button. I'm going to, tap and hold the B button to brake the bike. So I can control when the bike is or isn't moving. Okay, so this is where I'm going to dismount. Like I said, I'm going to press Y to feed Tricky. I'm going to switch the grip on my controller. I'm going to hold the A button. And once Fox and the bike actually separate, I'm going to tap, then hold the B button. I'm going to walk Fox as far as I need to, and then I'm going to release the B button as needed to move the bike. And every time I hit a lip, I will spam the L button to correct my camera. Hopefully that makes sense. And we'll give it a go. Can't really see it. But also, you can see how consistent the camera is when you do this. Now here, I want to actually let the bike get ahead of Fox for just a little bit. Okay, now that I'm here, I have one specific objective. I want to put Fox in what I call the golden corner. It's this corner where the light is. Like, it's the first corner on the left side where there is a light. And then I'm going to continue to do this. Once I'm over the hill, I'm going to release and repress A. And if done correctly, I've already hit the cutscene trigger to store the lag spike. If you don't, you should stop and turn, and I would stay on the left side of the track during this, and go back and hit the trigger from the back side, and this will store your lag spike. Then you want to drive into this corner and turn around. Now my alignment for this is I want to have the center of Fox's head be somewhere between the left vertical line and the actual wall. So like you can see like the vertical line that starts there and then the wall is over here. I just want it to be somewhere in between. Driving along the wall will straighten you out by default, so it's not specific. And then I want to explain this in depth here. There are 5 frames in which you can unload and reload this dungeon. Only 5. Now, they say you can make it on the 3rd frame. I don't think you have enough speed. I have never done it from 3rd frame. But 4th and 5th frame both work, which means you cannot pause late. You can only pause early. Well, I mean, you can pause late. If you pause late, I mean, you have to reset up the angle here. But, like, you can't pause late and get the reload at the same time. Like, that doesn't make sense. The more speed you have, the better. And once you pause on the correct frame, you're going to continue to hold A. By the way, I'm going to press start with my left thumb. Right, I'm going to press start with my left thumb because I don't want to release the A button. Maximizing your speed is very important here. So, with that, once you pause, you're going to continue to hold the A button. You're going to hold left, and then I'm going to unpause with my right index finger. It's going to be, this is funny. Funny how this works. And then I'm going to drive until I hit the lag spike. When I hit the lag spike, I'm going to switch from left to upright. And how long you turn depends on how much speed you have. So there's not just one and done, but it's just 2 miniature setups that you have to learn. Basically, you're just trying to land in the little cubby hole where the switch is for the barrel mover, and like glitchless. And if you land in there, the rest of this is actually very simple. So I'm going to wait for the next boulder, and then I'm going to go. This is the 5th frame. Do you see how the top horizontal line is basically in Fox's left elbow? That is the 5th frame. If that line was in Fox's forearm, it would be the 4th frame. Those are the 2 frames that work. So now that I'm here, I am still holding the A button. I'm still going to be holding the A button when I unpause. I'm holding left, and I'm going to unpause with my index finger. Easy does it. I'm just holding brake. Now, like I said, it gets easier from here. So you want to turn around all the way. You can still clip through these tiny little railings, and it will ruin the trick. You don't want to do that. So, like, make sure that you're safe as you're moving along the platform here. So, normally you can do this faster. I'm just going slow for demonstrative purposes. So you're going to get to about here. And then as you go off of this bridge, you're going to aim for the right green flame right here. So this is where I'm aiming. If I can drive forward a little bit and show off where it is I'm aiming to. Do you see the entrance to Galdon's boss room down there? Now, I can't access the warp because I'm on the bike. But what I can access is the save and quit trigger. But the problem is there's an invisible wall. But that invisible wall only checks for Fox, which means the bike can sail right through the invisible wall. And then I can remount the bike by pressing A to warp to the bike. Then I can hit the save and quit trigger, save and quit, and then I can go fight Galdon. That's the idea. So we're going to get back into this position here. So, like I said, you can do this a little faster. You could, like, get closer and do a precise alignment. That's fine. But if you have a little bit if you have, like, decent eyes, you should have an idea of where the bike is going, and you can adjust left and right without needing to do a precise alignment. You could go from further back. I guess I will show the precise alignment here. Like I said, you want to basically just be aiming at the green flame. And you saw I tapped slightly right, but it's not really necessary. I just wanted to make sure that I was going to get in there. And then once you're here, you can turn around. The save and quit trigger is directly in front of you. As soon as Fox is over the lip, you are safe to pause the game. Now, if I saved and quit, I would respawn right here. I could hold down, get on the warp pad, and go fight Galdon. But, I mean, this is a practice file. This is on console. There are no save states here. This is one take. But I'd like to keep my save file for Dismount glitch. It's one of the glitches I practice the most because it's one of the hardest glitches in the run. So, with that being said, I hope that you've learned everything that you would like to learn from this glitch. I hope that you are successful in doing it, and thank you all for watching. I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.